Hello, everyone. I am back. It's Anna. And I'm so sorry that I didn't post for quite a while. I just had some life things happening to me, most of them good things, but my college started and I had some exams and I still have some exams and my work started, so I had a lot of things with that, and also I started to do things that I love finally, like acting. I got a lot into that, and I was just busy doing life things, and I'm sorry life got in the way of me filming. But I did film some videos. I was not happy with how they looked. I was not happy with the content that I put in them, and I just decided to not post anything until I figure out my schedule, until I feel comfortable enough to film a video and to have some time to edit it. So yeah, I just took a break and I will try to be consistent further on. I want this to be good. I want this to be fun for me, and I will not do it if I feel like a lot of other things are more important to me. So yeah, but I wanted to talk about some books in this video. Shocker. I wanted to talk about books that I want to read in 2025. There are 25 of the books, of course, as everybody does in this time. All of the books that are on this list are the books that I already own. So for the books that I am like my most anticipated reads, quarterly, I'm gonna try to put out the video in the beginning of January or end of December, and I'm gonna try to do it every quarter, but these are the books that I own. Let's just get straight into that. Okay, starting off, we have Neuromancer by William Gibson. I tried to read this book 3 times already in the past 5 years, and I failed miserably every time. I think the furthest I got is almost to the half, but never further. There's just something about this book that I find it so difficult to read. I do think the story of the book is quite interesting, and I do think that it's a story that I want to know a little bit more about. I don't want to fail, and I'm not going to give up. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna try to read it again and again and again. I even thought about unholding this book because I have it for so long and I haven't been able to read it, but there's just something about it that I don't want to unhold it. What it's about, it's a sci-fi. It's one of the most popular sci-fi books. That's that I know of, that I remember of. It's about a guy and he is on some kind of mission. There's some kind of matrix and data and blah 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 sci-fi things. I don't know anything else. That's okay. That's fine. You don't have to know everything about every book. The next book was already on my what I want to read by the end of the 2024, and that would be Sun in the Sands by Josiah Bancroft. I still have not read this book or this series. I would love to start, because this is one of those books that has been on my TBR, for my physical TBR, for more than 4 years. So it would really be time to start it. But it's about a married couple, and they get into this big building, and there are like levels to this building, and I think the bride gets abducted and put on the top of the building, and then her husband needs to go to the top, and there are like all of these booby traps throughout the building. So it's like a game kind of, but it's a fantasy. I don't think it's that popular, but I did hear some people talk about it here on BookTube. I am really interested in it, but I still have not picked it up. Then we have another book that I already talked about and I still have not read, and it's another series. I have a lot of series here, and that would be The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I did read Babel by R.F. Kuang and I loved it, and I had Poppy War since before I had Babel. I love R.F. Kuang's writing, and I think this is like one of the most heartbreaking epic fantasy kind of stories, so I would love to get into that, because heartbreak, who does not want that? The next book that I have is another one I already talked about, and that is Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, the classic that I was most interested in reading when I bought it 5 years ago. Still have not read it. I tried to read it. I got to first page and then I closed it. The next book I have is not a book I have for a long time. It's quite a new book for me, but I'm really excited and I really want to read it because it's one of my favorite authors, and that would be Evocations by S.T. Gibson. And I got this book a few months ago, and I filmed a vlog in which I talk about this book, but then I never posted it. So I'm quite excited. This is a series by her, finally. I read all the other books she put out, so 2. She just writes vampire stories, like modern vampire. There's something about them that I just cannot stop reading, even if it's not the best story I've ever read. Just her writing style, I really vibe with it. I really do. Another book that I have a long time, but this edition is a new one, and that's The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I knew who this was by, I just forgot at the moment. I know Oscar Wilde wrote Dorian Gray. And for this book, I did read almost all of it. I think when I read it 4 years ago, there was like only 40 pages left for me, maybe even less, maybe like 20-30 pages. I stopped reading for some reason and I never finished it, and I feel like maybe that's a good thing because I don't think I would comprehend it as I can comprehend it now. I think I was in a completely different headset back then, and I don't think I would understand it quite as I could now. So this is one of those books that I just feel like I would really enjoy, and it could become one of my favorites. And a lot of people really rave about Dorian Gray. I want to be one of those, so yeah. Okay, so we have another classic, and that would be Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I also started reading this book and I got like, I don't know, about, let's see, I'm so interested actually now. I read more than I remember. I read almost 250. I came to the 3rd part of the book. So I did read quite a few chapters and I remember loving it, but I just feel like I try to annotate it. Annotating book is just not for me. That gets me completely out of the story and I don't think I get anything from it. I can just like finish a chapter and then think about it. I don't have to write down everything, and it was just taking me out of the story, so I think I stopped and now I have to pick it up and read it from the top because I don't remember anything. But yeah, that's another classic that I have. I'm like so smart. The next book I have is Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is also a new book for me. I bought it this year and I really loved this cover. It's one of the prettiest cover I've ever seen. And I remember when I started like watching BookTube 10 years back, this one was one of the books that a lot of people talked about all the time. This and another book of hers that I forgot its name, but I remember this one and I remember people loving it, so I just always wanted to read it. And then one day I came into my bookstore and they had this beautiful copy of it, this beautiful, really expensive copy of it, and I just had to buy it and I really want to read it now. Okay, next up we have A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. This is a modern take. I think people said that it's like Six of Crows, but then people read it and it was nothing like Six of Crows. I don't have any expectations of it. I just know it's about like a tea room. There may be vampires, but I'm not sure. Maybe there are no vampires in it. Probably no vampires, but it's kind of like a heist story and it's also a series. So yeah, that's that one. The next one I have is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I have not read anything by Shannon Chakraborty. I feel like a lot of her books are on my TBR, but I have not read any of them and I just own this one, which is good because owning more books and then realizing that you don't like an author writing style is the worst thing ever. Also, I think I read like a first chapter of this book a year ago when I bought it, and I think I did like her writing style. I just never kind of got to reading it completely, but now it's time, I have a year in front of me in which I could read this one. So The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, and you see that I started that one. I got to a page, didn't go very far, definitely. I'm on page 124, and this is a spoiler. I'm like right about where he will escape the prison. So if you didn't want that spoiler, I'm sorry. This is again one of my potential favorites because for now, like the writing style, I thought it's going to be really hard to read and really dense. It's really not that hard to read. There's a lot of it. There's like 800 and plus pages more of it, but like the writing style is just meshing with me, and I like the way the chapters are written. I love our main character and I love the story of it. I knew I already loved this story, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it and I'm not trying to rush through it. I'm trying to take it as slow as I can. Also, even though it's not hard to like read, it's still kind of tiring for me because it's not like a modern English, which I can read quite easily through. It's a little bit like more classical. So well, it's a classic, so it's a little bit harder for me to get through it. The next one I have, another modern one, is Fae Bound by Sara El Arifi. This one is about Fae people. It's about an elven army warrior. It came out a year ago. I think a new one should be coming out soon. Like the second part, this is also a series. Should really start reading it. I have another one, and that's Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. When this book just came out, I didn't hear a lot about it, but last month and a half, when people start talking about like favorite fantasy books they read, I heard about this book a lot. I'm now glad that I bought it on a whim, because maybe I'll really love it. And it's also part of the series, and it's kind of like this mystery killing, and we have this character that is really quirky. Oh, that's another series that I haven't. That this time it's Joe Abercrombie and Blade itself. Joe Abercrombie is one of the fantasy authors that I'm really excited to start reading, and I just am not starting it. I don't know why. I really should, because I feel like this is a book in my taste. I would love this book, like really big, because this is a whole series, and that is The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. Now, if you watched my previous videos, any of them, you know that I bought like a little book that only had Interview with a Vampire in it. And then when I was in Italy, when we were traveling, my water spilled all over my purse. It's kind of ruined that book, and the book, well, it's not ruined, but it has like really crinkled pages now, and I was really sad because it's already small book, and it was really pretty edition. I really like that red edition of it. I just got this edition and I'm gonna read from this edition, I don't know how, but I will find a way. The next book I have is a book that I bought this year again, and I really don't know anything about this book, just that somebody that I really trust with book recommendations on BookTube recommended it a few times, and that would be Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. It has a beautiful cover, and I heard that it's a beautiful book, so I'm really excited to read it and tell you guys my thoughts about it. The next book I have is Queen of Arrows by Mercedes Lackey. Mercedes Lackey is one of the first women to start reading in this like epic fantasy genre, I think. I really wanted to read her books, and then I bought it. So this is also one of the oldest books on my TBR. It's 6 years. It's coming to 6 years that I have this book, and that is The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. This is a thick series book, first book, and I have the second book also. I bought the second book 2 years ago, and I have not read the first one or the second one. I thought like maybe if I buy the second one, it will inspire me to start reading the first one. It did not. I just never started reading it. This is again like those epic fantasy books, and I'm gonna read it. I promise I'm going to read at least the first one next year. If I don't, I will unhaul it because I have it for such a long time. I should really read it. Okay, now we have a book that I have, I think, the longest. And it's not that I have it the longest because I never started reading it. I got to half of it when I was third grade elementary school, and that would be Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This book my grandma gave me. I just never gave it back to her. She said that I could keep it, and I never read it till the end. I got somewhere until the middle, and then I stopped. This is the book that I could probably read now. I think it's like for the elementary school. It's not too late. People like this book when they're older because it's a very hard-hitting book and it's very sad. Then we have one that I think both of these I already talked about, so I'm just gonna go over them fast. The one is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. Beautiful cover, haven't read it, tried to read it 3 times. failed every single time. So, and the next one, I never tried to read it, but I bought it for the cover, and then I tried to buy the second, and the second one never came. So I got my money back, and that would be Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. I think I will like this book a lot. That's that. For last two, well, three, I have Steppenwolf by Hermann Hesse. This is another classic that I would love to get to. This year I started reading this one also, as you can see. I started reading it this year and then I just kind of stopped, started reading other things, but the part that I read, I really enjoyed. The last books that I would love to get to this year are actually anything by Tolkien, because I feel it is really upsetting for me that I have not read anything by Tolkien. So I have The Hobbit that I would really like to get to. Just I know that I won't love this book already. It's like a book for elementary school. It was written for kids, for children, and it's really obvious in the way it was written that it's for children, and I just don't like that. But I still want to read it. I still want to give it a chance and read it till the end. It's not a long book, and I feel like I really need to. And the other thing that I got this Christmas, actually, from Tolkien, is the whole Lord of the Rings set. So it's time for me to, and I feel like the Lord of the Rings like trilogy, I will like that one a lot. So that's that. There you guys go. There are my 25 books that I own that I want to read in 2025. I don't think I will read every one of these. Definitely there are a lot of series in this video and I will definitely not be able to read all of them, but I will say by the end of 2025 I want to read at least half of these books, 2/3 of these books. So I would love to read every single book that's like a standalone book. And then for the series I will try to read at least 2 to 3 series that I talked about. The video, thank you guys for watching. I will try to put out my next video soon. If I don't, I'm sorry. See each other next time. Bye.